Study of 4 aging categories using the VMT medical research model. Number 1343, September 2, 2025. Gerald C. EclaireMD Foundation. Category: Aging. Preface. In my previous medical research paper number 1342, I discussed 7 common signs of aging from a pathophysiological perspective. In this article, number 1343, I apply my longitudinal data collected over 11 years. From 2014 to 2025, to integrate multiple biomarkers and lifestyle details into 4 aging categories: muscle, metabolic, neurological, and cardiovascular aging. For the immune system, cognition and memory function, and the gastrointestinal system, I did not collect sufficient personal longitudinal data. Therefore, I have excluded these 3 categories from this study, rather than relying on the traditional descriptive style. With references to large volumes of existing medical literature, I have applied the viscoplastic energy method, see Appendix, to analyze my personal aging process. Although this work represents a form of personalized medicine, I hope it may provide insight for other patients, especially senior patients. After all, the internal organs and their functions in my body should be broadly similar to those of most human beings. Data and categories. I collected the following 9 personal datasets, each with its corresponding normalization factor, i.e., healthy reference level. Body weight, 170 pounds. Daily walking, 12,000 steps. Systolic blood pressure, 120 mm of mercury. Pulse pressure, 50 mm of mercury. Heart rate, 60 bpm. Fasting glucose, early morning, 90 mg per deciliter. Nightly sleep, 7 hours. Sleep quality score, 100%. 3 lipids average score, 100%. I regrouped these 9 biomarkers and lifestyle details into 4 aging categories, using the following equations. Muscle aging. Muscle stressor equals 1.0 times the quantity of daily walking steps divided by 12,000. Metabolic aging. Metabolic stressor equals 0.50 times the quantity of FPG divided by 90, plus 0.30 times the quantity of body weight divided by 170, plus 0.20 times the quantity of 3 lipids score divided by 1.00. Neurological aging. Neurological stressor equals 0.70 times the quantity of sleep hours divided by 7, plus 0.30 times the quantity of average heart rate divided by 60. Cardiovascular aging. Cardiovascular stressor equals 0.50 times the quantity of SBP divided by 120, plus 0.50 times the quantity of PP divided by 40. Total aging index. The total aging index is defined as the average of the 4 stressors. However, this index is not directly included in my VMT calculations. Instead, I calculate each stressor's contribution by quantifying the energy generated through the interaction between the output strain, my biological age in each calendar year, and each of the 4 aging stressors: muscle, metabolic, neurological, and cardiovascular aging. Analysis results. The data from 2014 to 2025, summarized in attached figure, show the longitudinal curves and average stressor scores for each aging category. Muscle aging, 1.23. Metabolic aging, 1.19. Cardiovascular aging, 1.93. Neurological aging, 0.93. In terms of VMT energy contribution ratios, attached figure, the percentages and rankings are: muscle aging, 29.6%. Metabolic aging, 25.3%. Cardiovascular aging, 23.8%. Neurological aging, 21.4%. These results suggest that muscle aging, largely determined by daily walking activity, contributes the most to my overall aging burden. Metabolic aging, influenced by insulin resistance, BMI, and lipid levels, represents the second most significant factor. Cardiovascular aging, associated with systolic blood pressure, SBP, and vascular stiffness measured by pulse pressure, PP, ranks third. Neurological aging, reflected by nightly sleep hours and heart rate, exerts the lowest relative influence among the 4 categories. Taken together, these findings indicate that interventions aimed at preserving muscle strength and daily physical activity may yield the greatest benefit in slowing my overall aging process, followed by strategies targeting metabolic regulation and cardiovascular health. Neurological factors, while showing a lower relative contribution in this dataset, remain essential for maintaining quality of life and should not be overlooked. My neurological aging shows the least impact, because my sleep hours and heart rate stay close to healthy levels. With steady routines of daily walking and regular sleep, these functions remain stable, so their stress on aging is smaller compared with muscle, metabolic, and cardiovascular systems. Figures. Figure 1. 4 aging categories and total scope, from 2014 to 2025. Longitudinal curves of muscle, metabolic, neurological, and cardiovascular aging stressors, along with total aging index. Figure 2. VMT of real age versus 4 aging categories, from 2014 to 2025. Total VMT energy is 45.52. Contribution ratios: muscle 29.6%, metabolic 25.3%, cardiovascular 23.8%, neurological 21.4%. Appendix: brief description of the VMT research method. 1. Longitudinal data collection. The method requires repeated measurements over time. The duration depends on feasibility, and the time frame appropriate to the study objective. Time aspect, T, which could represent a day, week, month, quarter, or year. 2. Strain change rate. Calculate the rate of change of the output strain, variable, E, with respect to time. The dt, rate of change, e.g., how fast average glucose changes each month. 3. Input stress, S, calculation. Multiply the strain change rate by each input factor to obtain the input stress value, S. Example, if the input factor is carbohydrate intake, S equals input times the dt, meaning the input factor's stress on the output variable. 4. Interaction energy. Calculate the interaction energy between input and output. Area equals E times the input times the dt. 5. Stress strain plot and energy value. Plot output strain, E, on the x-axis and input stress, S, on the y-axis to generate a curve for each input factor. The enclosed area represents the VMT energy value, E, for that pair. Total E equals E sub 1 plus E sub 2 plus E sub 3 and so on. 6. Energy contribution ratios. Compare the energy values of different inputs to derive contribution ratios. These ratios quantify the relative influence of each input stressor on the chosen output strain. E sub 1% equals E sub 1 divided by total E, etc. Disclaimer: this content is for educational reference only and not medical advice. No doctor-patient relationship is created. You may share this article freely, but it must not be edited or republished as your own.